Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Lisa, and in this video we're going to be talking about how I have completed this parrot from start to finish. This reference photo is one that I downloaded from Unsplash. In the description below I'll put a list of the paper and pencils, including the colours that I've used for this colourful bird. And if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe for more tutorials to come in the future. If you'd like to see any of my other work or things that I have for sale, you can check me out on Etsy and also on Instagram. But for now, let's get started drawing the parrot. So I started the eye by lightly outlining with the Indanthrene blue, and then when I was happy with the colour, go in with a darker pressure to get the shape that you want. Then I use that soft white Holbein pencil to put down a wax resist where you can see those really bright white highlights, just to make sure they stay nice and white. And then went in with a darker pressure with the Indanthrene blue and started to put in some of the darker areas that I can see. So this means when I go in with my warm grey one layer as a base, you can still see all of the dark sections and where the lines are in the eye. Then I went in with the Prussian blue, Indanthrene blue, and then for the darkest colours I went in with the dark sepia, and then go over again with the warm grey one, and then in the lightest areas go back over again with the Holbein soft white to get all the shadows in there. Once the full pupil and the outline is done, then you can just go around and start to add in the little bits of skin around the eye. I also went in with my scalpel to etch out some of the lighter areas, so if I accidentally went over with a little bit of blue or warm grey one, you can use your scalpel or scratching tool just to get rid of some of the colour in there. And because you have the Holbein soft white down as a base, it just lifts up really clearly and it really gives that bright white highlight. And one of the key points to remember when you're doing highlights and eyes and things like this is to make sure you have your tones and values in the right places and the right depth. So you need to make sure you have your highlight really nice and white, and then the darker outline of the eye and the pupil really nice and black. The colour in the eye doesn't really matter, it just matters that you have your shadows and values correct. So moving on to the feathers around the head and the face, I really wanted them to be really extra bright and yellow, so I didn't go in with any warm greys or cold greys. I went in straight with the light cadmium yellow, which is a really bright yellow as a base, and then went over with the cadmium yellow and the dark chrome yellow around to add in some of the shadows. And then that pinky reddy colour on the right hand side of the eye, I used the pale Geranium Lake pencil, which was a great colour that really went well with the reference photo. For the shadows in the eye and around the feathers, I used a violet and also tried to go in with a little bit of the Indanthrene or the Prussian blue, just to add a little bit of blue into the shadows as well. But it's just a matter of slowly going around and building up all of the shadows. And when you're doing feather texture, just making sure to go in the direction that the feathers are going. So on this bird from the beak, it goes up to the right and then down the face to the right hand side. So you're just wanting to make sure that you're mimicking this with your pencil strokes and going in the right direction. So this colour underneath the eye with the pale Geranium Lake and the Cadmium Orange, I then blended it with the white Holbein waxy pencil, and that's what gives it that sort of faded out pinky orangey look, and that is perfect to what the reference photo is, so I was really happy with how that worked. Moving on to the beak, I hadn't filmed this one and I'm not sure why. I don't think I had pressed record, which is such a shame. But going around, again, you just want to make sure that you're getting your lights and dark colours in there. When I put the blue colours into the beak, I used the same Indanthrene and the Prussian blues, and then going over again with the white Holbein pencil is a waxy colour, and that will give it that sort of smooth beak texture and make it look sort of faded out and shiny and smooth like a beak does. So when I moved on to the chest of the bird and started doing the feathers on the breast and the stomach, I went in with the light cadmium yellow as a base and then used the cadmium orange, orange glaze and the dark chrome yellow to put in the shadows and try and map out where all of the feathers were. I'm not gonna lie, this texture was very difficult, and even when I finished I wasn't 100% happy with it, but I feel like it did look alright in the end, but it took a long time for me to blend and put all of the different shadows in there. I kept knocking it back with the Holbein soft white pencil, and then I would add some of the violet and alizarin crimson, red and purple colours in between the shadows, and then also go in with different violets and blues and dark reds, and I was thinking it's not working out, but this is just where you need to keep going and maybe take a break from that section. So now you can see that I moved on to the wing and started doing some of the different sections of the wing and then the feet. So then once everything is in there, you can step back and have a look and see where you need to change things, because if you keep going over a certain area for a while, you will just get frustrated. So it's best to move on and focus on another section and then come back to it. So I really enjoyed doing the feathers on the tail. I just took it one feather at a time, and having a look at the reference photo, you can see that they're really dark, but then underneath the darkness there are oranges, yellows and reds and blues and greens in there. So I went in with the base layer of the orange and greens and blues that I could see underneath, and then use the dark sepia to go over the top, and then the white Holbein pencil to blend it all together. For the light tips on the tails, I went in with the warm grey one and a little bit of the burnt ochre, and over the burnt ochre, very lightly, I put that down. Then over that I did the white Holbein pencil, and it really knocks it back, but it still gives it that sort of brown crisp colour. So in the tail I did use a little bit of the Finesse blender pen, which is just a colour pencil blender, putting a little bit of that down because there were some white bits of the paper showing through even when I was blending with the lighter and darker colours. So for the branch I went in with a lot of the same colours that I used on the bird. So I used a lot of the violet, pink, blue colours, the same ones that are in the bird, like the Prussian blue, violet, pink geranium lake, the light magenta, because once you have a look really closely at the reference photo, you can see a lot of colours even though it is quite dark. And then I just went in with the dark sepia, indanthrene blue, and mixed them together in the very darkest highlights, and that will form a really dark colour. But putting the blue and the purple tones in there with the dark sepia will sort of make it a little bit more vibrant and not so flat. So if I just went in with the dark sepia and didn't put any of the undercolours in, it would look a little bit flat. And also when you do look at the reference photos, you can see that it's there are lots of colours in there as well. So once I was happy with the tones and the shadows in there, I went in with a sharp dark sepia to put in the little wood texture lines going across the branch. And then using a colour pencil blender called Zest-it, it's just a liquid, and then using a brush to apply it onto the branch. It just makes it smoother and makes all of the colour pencil blend together. So once you put this down, then you can wait for it to dry and go straight back over with your colour pencils, and it sort of feels like there's no colour on the page at all, so it's really good to work with. So when you're putting this down, you're making sure that you're just lightly going over the colour pencil. You don't need to rub it in or rub it together. It should just blend nice and smoothly. I also went into the tail a little bit and added some of this just to help it all blend together, as there were still a couple of little white bits showing through the paper. And then I just waited for it to dry and went over the branch once more with all of the same colours again, so adding in a little bit more purple, pink, blue colours, and then going in darker with the dark sepia at the very bottom of the branch, and more blue colours to really hype up that blue. And also went in with the white Holbein pencil in the lightest areas to make the shadows really pop. So once everything was down and it was all finished, I do what I usually do, is just leave it overnight or for a couple of days. I definitely left this one for a little while, came back and assessed all of those feathers and got it to a point where I was pretty happy with it as a first attempt at a bird like this. So if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe for more tutorials to come in the future. Let me know in the comments below if this video has been helpful for you, or if you would like to see anything different or similar in the future, let me know. Remember to add me on Instagram and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks guys.